Star Citizen has monetized just about everything. Paints, armor, weapons, even those controversial flight blades that stirred up the pay-to-win debate. But what if I told you there's a ship they're not even trying to sell you? One that CIG has practically forgotten, with no marketing, no updates, and no love. You won't even find it for sale in the pledge store. It's not there right now. And I don't mean it's occasionally unavailable. During one anniversary sale, which morphed into the IAE, it didn't show up at all. No banner, no spotlight, not a word. That's the one time each year where they sell everything they've ever made. It was missing. Now I know what some of you are thinking. If you fly a 600i, an MSR, or the Carrack, your ears probably just perked up. And I get it. Those ships are still waiting on their promised gameplay or reworks. But this isn't about them. I've already done videos on the Carrack and the MSR. And while they might feel stalled, CIG still trots them out for sales, drops fresh paint jobs, and features them in trailers. They haven't been abandoned, they're just being slow cooked. And if you're one of those owners, you're probably feeling like the proverbial frog in the pot. The ship we're talking about today is the Anvil Gladiator, a 2-seat torpedo bomber that's been so neglected you'd be forgiven for not even knowing it exists. With nearly 200 ships and variants floating around, this one didn't just fall through the cracks, it was left to rot. It feels like Lord Chris Roberts himself turned his back on it. CIG will sell you a skin for a ship you don't even own. They'll bundle ships together for 15 grand and people will actually buy it. But for some reason, the Gladiator gets nothing. It gets worse. As far as I can tell, it's the only flyable ship with 0 paint jobs available. Not one. The community wiki notes that as of Alpha 4.1, there are no paints for it at all. CIG has pushed skins for the Reliant, the Rylan, even ships that barely see daylight, but the Gladiator? Nothing. Meanwhile, they're still happy to offer $30,000 ship bundles packed with everything else except this forgotten bomber. Now don't worry, this channel hasn't turned into nothing but ship reviews, and I promise they aren't always as gloomy. But I ran into a Gladiator on Friday night for the first time in 7 years, and I haven't been able to stop thinking about it since. I had to make this video. Shout out to the crew that played with me on the live stream, and props to how fast we're starting to gel as a team. What we're building here is starting to feel real. The Gladiator's shape language feels like it came straight out of the kit-bashed model era. No curves, no gloss, just raw utilitarian sci-fi, like it was slapped together with bolts, grease, and a few bad decisions. Before the Scorpius or the Guardian showed up, this was about as close to Star Wars as you could get in Star Citizen. At a glance, it looks like an E-Wing, at least how they were described in the books before Ahsoka. Even the military designation, the T-8A Gladiator, sounds like it belongs in a Star Wars tech manual. Everything about it just works from a purely visual perspective. Seeing it again brought all those memories flooding back. I had one in 2018, and to be honest, I didn't enjoy it. Back then, Star Citizen didn't have much going on, and this ship had some serious problems. I'll break those down in a minute, but at the time, my fleet was small. Keeping a ship with major performance issues just didn't make sense. I melted it and walked away with that lingering feeling of what could have been. Now personally, I always recommend earning your ships in-game. All you really need is a starter pack to have a great time in Star Citizen. But if you're set on picking up a Gladiator with cash and LTI, there's only one way to do it right now. I've partnered with the Impound, a trusted gray market site that sells ships you can't always get through the official store. And I didn't just take their word for it. I bought this Gladiator from them myself. During my live stream. The transaction was flawless, start to finish. My referral link's in the description. If you go that route, there's a small kickback that supports the channel and helps me keep doing what I do. The Anvil Gladiator first took to the skies way back in 2015. It was flight ready in Alpha 1.1.1 almost a decade ago, and honestly, it feels like it. Everything about this ship just screams abandoned relic. While plenty of older ships have gotten reworks or hit that so-called gold standard, the Gladiator's been frozen in time. No meaningful updates, no modernizations, no love. Sure, it's been dragged along through some global flight model changes and minor balance tweaks, but the core of this ship is still stuck in 2015. No physicalized components, no updated metrics, still stuck with that old geometry and textures it launched with. In dev terms, this thing isn't even in the same league as today's ships. There's no proper component access, no local inventory, and zero of the modern quality of life improvements. Even the legacy Hornets and Auroras have gotten incremental updates, while the Gladiator sits in the corner collecting dust. But it's not just the visuals. The Gladiator's gameplay design was ambitious on paper and never made it past the brochure. Originally, this was pitched as a flexible light bomber. You were supposed to swap its torpedo bay for cargo, convert the second seat into a utility turret with a tractor beam, flip between civilian and military roles on the fly. Sounds great, right? Except none of it exists in the game. Yes, it carries 4 size 5 torpedoes, but only technically. There's no cargo module, no alternative loadouts. That tractor beam turret, still just a concept. The official RSI site and Galactopedia still pretend all this is coming. But let's be real, we'll probably see those modules the same year the 600i gets its rework. So if you're holding your breath, maybe don't. On paper, it's a carrier-based strike craft. Think World War II in space, but its loadout doesn't cut it. The size 5 torpedoes it carries? They're just Stalker 5 missiles doing about 68,000 damage total if all 4 hit. That's not a lot, and in the age of PDCs for larger ships, you'd be lucky to get 1 missile through. By comparison, the Aegis Eclipse fires size 9 torpedoes that deal over 1.1 million damage. 1 Eclipse hits harder than 17 Gladiators. 17. Even the Gladiator's core role as a torpedo bomber has been eclipsed hard. Pun intended. By the way, if you're enjoying this kind of deep dive, consider subscribing. I put out new Star Citizen videos a few times a week, and I try to make every one worth your time. The Vanguard Harbinger outclasses it too. And while the Gladiator looks like it means business, it doesn't actually threaten capital ships the way it was meant to. CIG hasn't given the ship new bombs, they haven't updated its damage profile, it's still trying to fill a role that left it behind years ago. And that's the tragedy of it. The Gladiator was built for a job that no longer exists. If you need more proof that the Gladiator's been abandoned, just look at the bugs. Some of these issues have been around for years with no fix in sight, and unlike other ships that get patched up fast, the Gladiator just doesn't. First, there's the cockpit light glitch. Take hull damage and suddenly your cockpit turns into a blinding light show. I'm talking full disco ball. It's a glowing ring of phantom lights that doesn't go away until you repair, and it stays visible even when you get out of the seat. Good luck landing hits when your instruments are glowing like a nightclub. I didn't see this myself during testing, but multiple pilots have reported it, and I believe them. The landing gear is also jank. The feet pads clip into the surface of everything from landing pads to planetary ground. It's cosmetic, sure, but it sets the tone. Even the simplest animations are bugged. But nothing tops the possessed thrusters. This is my favorite. When the ship is powered on and idle, its thrusters will randomly start rotating on their own. Nobody in the seat, no control inputs, they just move. It's like the Gladiator's trying to get your attention. It's yelling, "Notice me, please, Mr. Roberts." And with some B-roll, you'll see what I mean. It's equal parts hilarious and sad. All of this adds up to one thing. The Gladiator hasn't just been left behind. It's been left broken. Where other ships get hotfixes, the Gladiator's issues stack up and linger. It's gotten so bad that even finding other owners to upvote bugs on the issue council is a challenge. It's really hard to report bugs when nobody flies the thing anymore. I don't want this to sound like pure complaining. I had a blast flying the Gladiator while making this video. The cockpit clearly takes inspiration from the A-10 Warthog, and I love that grounded energy it gives off, especially when you're rolling into a turn in Atmo. It feels like a plane. You get that tactile, analog vibe that's rare in Star Citizen ships. The problem is, its pitch, roll, and yaw are sluggish, closer to heavy fighters, and the firepower doesn't really justify that. You can technically boost your DPS with a second player in the turret, but with only 2 size 3s up top, that extra crew member is probably better off flying their own ship. And that's the real issue. The reason the Gladiator's been abandoned is simple. It doesn't have a place anymore. The game's evolved, and what this ship was meant to be just doesn't fit where Star Citizen is headed. I don't blame CIG for reallocating dev time if Squadron 42 went another direction with its bombers. Judging by Chapter 1 of the Squadron reveal, it looks like the Retaliator inherited the role that might have once belonged to the Gladiator. And honestly, that makes sense. But here's the thing. I still believe this ship has potential. And I'm hoping that by shining a light on it, with help from this passionate and growing community, CIG might take another look. Fix the bugs. Give it a gold standard pass. Hell, maybe even buff the torps a little. Let the pilot control the turret. And could you please throw a few paints in the store? It wouldn't take much to make this thing feel like it belongs again. There's no reason the Gladiator couldn't carve out a role in both PvE and PvP. It's got the looks, the history, the legacy. It just needs the dev time. Until then, the Gladiator stays a forgotten relic. A ship so neglected that even CIG's marketing machine can't be bothered to monetize it. A new player could play for months and never even see one. And apparently that's fine with CIG. But not with me. I'll keep dusting mine off now and then, just to see the confused stares from pilots who don't know what this weird little bomber is supposed to be. So consider this video my official entry into the Fix the Gladiator campaign, even if I just made that up, because Star Citizen, for all its flaws, is a game we care about. And that includes the ships it left behind. Let's drag the Anvil Gladiator out of the shadows and back into the fight. And if you made it this far, you're already part of the crew. I appreciate you, so let's make it official. Hit subscribe, join the channel, and I'll see you in the verse.